Thank you very much. This is one of the famous tomb here in Axum discovered by the archaeologists. Also, we have a reference book for this tomb and for King Bathazar. The name of the book is called Kibernegist, which is found in the Church of St. Mary, which is written in Ge'ez language. Ge'ez language is the oldest language in the church. The monks, the priestess, they understand this language. So the history of King Bathazar is found in the Church of St. Mary. So Emperor Bathazar is the king of kings from the Kunama tribe. This Kunama tribe, they are found in the western of this country, in the western of Ethiopia. They are a famous people, very well-known people who live in the remote country. They are dark people and they are like a warrior people. During the Aksumite kingdom, King Bathazar is the king of Nubia, the king of Abyssinia, the king of Axum. He conquered Nubia, Saudi Arabia, the Red Sea, the Puntland, and this place, Axum, is his capital city.
So at the time of Bathazar, the Aksumite Empire extended farther than the borders that you see in Ethiopia currently. Across the way, parts of Saudi Arabia. And so not only did Bathazar rule that area, he ruled from 8 BC until 9 AD, around seven years. So the interesting thing for me is why, y'all remember the story from Acts 8. They called this Ethiopian eunuch who was underneath Candace. Candace had given him charge of all of the treasure, okay? So this was a eunuch, a castrated servant who had come to power. They call him Bekos. They call the camel caravan that went with him the Jandaraba. And so what was so stunning on the first trip that I was here with CeeSe's help on the first trip that I had around 2 years ago was that they're buried in the very same place. The Jandaraba, the oral tradition is that Bekos, the Ethiopian eunuch, so there's this tie. Not only that, we interviewed the Kunama tribe, have researched the documents. They state that this Ethiopian eunuch went on the first trip with Bathazar, which is stunning, that this Acts 8 Ethiopian eunuch, and not only that, the things that he said at that time raise all kinds of questions that I would challenge you to look into yourself. So the documentation, the tall monastery that you saw there, tell them a little bit about the document and how that it is that it's there.
Yesterday, if you remember, when we came from the Axum airport, we saw a monastery located on the top of the mountain. That monastery is called Abuna Penteleon Monastery. Abuna Penteleon is one of the 9 saints who came from Syria to spirit Christianity in Ethiopia. So in that old monastery, there are very old books in the archives, like 1,600 old. So this is very interesting. The monks, they keep the archives very well. So this is a good example. There are a lot of record history about the 9 saints, about the Aksumite kings, about King Bathazar.
And the connection between Bekos, who the Ethiopian eunuch, that came in 30 AD, right after Christ. So there's a direct connection. So Candace, all right, they believe was married to Bathazar. Candace, who sent the Ethiopian eunuch at the same time. So that connection's been verified by the Kunama tribe. Now, there's also, I've not been to this other monastery, but a monastery that's named after Bathazar, Librabizin, CeeSe and Balthazar are the same. It's in Eritrea. We haven't been there because there's been a war between Ethiopia. And so at one time, all of those monasteries were under one church, the Orthodox church that's here. And so he founded this ancient monastery that's still in existence. And so I've talked with people in DC who've been there, and so the connections are amazing. So you've got the connection of the Ethiopian eunuch and Balthazar in one tomb. And you'll see the stelae back here. Not only that, the Candace, the oral tradition says that they were married with Bathazar. And he died. After he died, she sent this person, this Ethiopian eunuch by the name of Bekos, for a reason. So you think about what was going on. How long have they had there? At the time that Balthazar left, they already had the Ark of the Covenant, the most precious, ancient Jewish relic. And they're going on a trip that takes 6 months by camel and 6 months back. So a king who's willing to lay down his crown, travel 6 months and come back 6 months. If Obama did that, there would be a coup d'etat. Okay, so a big thing there. The other connections is that we landed in Gondar yesterday, you remember? Yep. In between Gondar and Axum, there's a forest that is miles long of frankincense. This area is rich with frankincense. Probably, we've gone through and filmed there, amazing forest of frankincense, and one of the most valuable resources for frankincense. And if you look in Acts 30, that's where the reason that they brought, the Magi brought the frankincense and myrrh wasn't necessarily what we've been told. We'll talk about the reasons for that, but it's amazing, it's stunning, it's startling. Why they went in the first place and why Candace, Balthazar's wife, would send Bekos 30 years later. That mystery Bob's talked about, and it was really through Chuck Missler and Bob that they didn't make the initial connection with the ancient with Balthazar, but the initial thought of why he was there, the theory Bob and Chuck have talked about. You should go on and listen to what Bob talked about. It's an amazing analogy. It's an amazing theory that he raised that's been supported by this finding of the connection between Bekos and Balthazar.